let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating curriculum that actually teaches 8th graders how to build their very own detective's toolkit for navigating information. Because, let's face it, we are constantly bombarded with claims from social media, websites, you name it. But how do you figure out what's actually true? Well, we're going to explore how this source teaches students to master the art of being a prudent researcher, basically sharpening their minds to spot fact from fiction with total confidence. The source grounds this entire lesson in a really foundational hook from Proverbs 14:15. It brilliantly contrasts someone who's easily tricked with a careful, thoughtful investigator. The quote is, "The simple believe anything, but the prudent give thought to their steps." Just think about that for a second in the context of our digital age. Literally anyone can blindly accept what they read online, but the text argues it takes a prudent person, someone who's wise, careful, and intentional, to pause, evaluate, and actually give thought to where that information is coming from. So, here's our roadmap for today. 1. The prudent researcher. 2. Why source credibility matters. 3. How to evaluate sources. 4. Analyzing real-world examples. And 5. Education, morality, and choices. Let's get into it. Starting off with Section 1, the prudent researcher, defining our goal. Now, the absolutely crucial point here is that not every source is trustworthy. I know, shocking, right? But spotting the difference is framed as this ultimate superpower to protect yourself from being deceived. Source credibility is simply the practice of relying only on accurate, dependable, and trustworthy information. It means actively rejecting those wild, unverified claims. When students learn to tell the difference between a rock-solid source and, say, a flimsy rumor, they're essentially building a shield around their minds. Moving on to Section 2, why source credibility matters, or the real-world stakes. You know, inaccurate information isn't just a minor mistake on a research paper. It has real-world consequences. It can spread misleading health claims that genuinely make people sick. It promotes false news stories that cause unnecessary panic. And it uses heavily biased statistics to literally trick you into making terrible decisions about your health, your safety, maybe even legal matters. Relying on bad sources is like building your understanding of the world on a foundation of sand. It's going to collapse. Okay, Section 3, how to evaluate sources. This is your detective toolkit. The curriculum gives us this incredibly practical checklist. Whenever you read something new, you need to run it through these 4 exact steps to see if it stands up to scrutiny or if it totally falls apart. First up, ask who is the author? Are they even a real person? Second, what are their qualifications? I mean, a brilliant dentist is definitely not the right person to write a textbook on rocket science, right? Third, is the information current or is it horribly outdated? And finally, is it supported by actual evidence or is it just someone shouting their opinion on the internet? But what happens when you just aren't sure? That's where this incredibly important concept comes in, cross-checking. This is the act of verifying accuracy by comparing the details of what you're reading with other trusted sources. Think primary government archives or secondary scholarly articles. If you're ever in doubt, cross-checking confirms the facts, ensuring your knowledge is well-rounded and undeniably correct. It's a real game changer. All right, Section 4, analyzing real-world examples. Let's look at some case studies. To put all this into practice, the curriculum provides a few scenarios. Imagine you're researching a health topic for a science project, and you come across this exact statement. It's a medical article, it's written by a licensed doctor, and it's published in a peer-reviewed journal. Let's break down exactly why this is the gold standard for researchers. So why is this a high credibility source? Well, looking at the author's expertise, they have formal education and certification. It's peer-reviewed, which is huge. That means a whole team of other brilliant doctors rigorously examined the methods and accuracy before it was ever allowed to see the light of day. And it's entirely evidence-based. This type of source requires strong proof, like clinical trials, making it incredibly safe to rely on for important decisions. Now, let's flip to the complete opposite end of the spectrum with a bold claim you might casually scroll past on your phone. A social media post claiming chocolate cures all illnesses. Look, I know we all desperately wish this one were true, but let's put our detective hats on for a second. Extraordinary claims require strong evidence, and belief alone absolutely does not make a social media post true. As you can see, there is literally zero evidence provided here. No studies, no facts. Plus, it's a massive exaggeration. Nothing cures all illnesses, and the source is completely unverified. Social media is, well, it's the Wild West. Anyone can post anything without a single fact check.
These are massive red flags, meaning a source like this should be completely avoided so you don't accidentally spread misinformation.
Finally, let's look at the gray area, a source that falls somewhere right in the middle. Let's say you find a blog written by a local teacher about the history of your town. Is it good? Is it bad? Honestly, a lot of the sources you'll encounter are mixed like this. The strength here is that the teacher is likely very knowledgeable and shares rich, interesting personal details. But the weakness? Blogs are not expertly reviewed. That means personal biases or honest mistakes can easily slip in. So what's the solution? Your job as a prudent researcher is to strategically extract the useful insights while double-checking the rest. You absolutely must cross-check their claims against official historical documents. So the key takeaway here is that high credibility sources help you make strong, accurate arguments. Low credibility ones should be completely tossed out or heavily questioned. And mixed sources, they're valuable, but only if you're willing to verify them. Being careful with sources isn't just about following rules for a grade. It's honestly the ultimate sign of responsible, mature learning. To reinforce all these skills, the curriculum challenges students with 5 key homework questions. They need to define source credibility, spot 2 signs a source might be bad, explain why an author's qualifications actually matter, describe the cross-checking process, and then finally go out into the real world and find 1 example of a highly credible source and 1 example of a totally non-credible source. It's a great practical exercise. Wrapping up with Section 5, Education, Morality, and Choices. The ultimate why. The curriculum actually draws on the book of Romans here to argue that carefully guarding what enters your mind ultimately leads to lasting peace. The text suggests that filling your mind with truth and spiritual grounding, rather than the chaotic, often toxic misinformation of the world, promises a genuine peace of mind. The foundational philosophy behind this, the Academy Godly Learners series, is that being a prudent researcher isn't just about passing a test. It's about pairing intelligence with a moral compass. In this framework, education and biblical morality absolutely must intertwine. Because think about it, the curriculum argues that education without a strong moral foundation often just leads to hurt. Being incredibly smart and well-read is entirely pointless if you take that knowledge and continue to make bad choices that hurt yourself or the people around you. I want to leave you with this final, vital thought to reflect on as you go out into the digital world. What is the point of being educated if you can't use that knowledge to make smart, peaceful choices? Becoming a prudent researcher gives you the power to find the truth, sure, but this curriculum reminds us that it's a strong moral compass that will actually guide you to use that truth wisely. Keep seeking the truth, keep questioning your sources, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.